I fly like paper, get high like planes. If you catch me at the border, I got visas in my name.
People, if you know me, you know that I love Egypt. And why I keep returning to Egypt is not the country itself, but the people. I find the people very, once you get to know them and they take off their tourist impressing mask, and you actually get to know them. And I've got several friends over there and they are very genuine and very generous, and a lot of them have what we would class as nothing, but they are so much richer than we are with heart, with warmth, with their mentality. Because I've got the worst memory ever, I've made a few notes in my little pocketbook, because people always ask like, oh my god, so you go there by yourself and no one's kidnapped you? No, they're not going to kidnap you. They'll make jokes about buying you for camels. No one is actually going to do that. So as most people are already aware, the capital is Cairo. Yes, when people think of Egypt, they think of the pyramids, and it's one of the 5th or 6th or however many wonders there are of the world. I think it's still one of them. Anyway, they think of the pyramids and they go to view them. Yes, I have visited the pyramids. No, I wasn't particularly impressed, and I'm sorry to be a downer, but I just think Egypt has so much more to offer, from culture, from the nature, from the actual history, from the richness in the people. So the pyramid, unfortunately, was not a highlight of my trip or my experience in Egypt. So I wouldn't say not to go. Go, of course, to have that experience. And as I mentioned before, not every experience is going to be great. Some experiences you may not enjoy. Some experiences it may be slightly underwhelming. But you'd only know that if you like it. If you don't like it, if you actually go and experience. So I would definitely recommend going to see the pyramids. So just because it wasn't a highlight for me, it may be complete opposite. This might be so amazing and such a powerful experience for you. Go, have a look. I would also say, for me, out of the the very touristy things to do, what people kind of go there, what their main pull factors are for the country in the tourism realm, I would say, yeah, okay, the pyramids. My favourite, by far, out of the historical things that I've seen, is the Valley of the Kings and the Valley of the Queens. Now, this is a very, very popular tourist attraction. However, it's nowhere near as popular as the pyramids. And when people talk about Egypt and they talk about the pyramids, I don't understand how they neglect to talk about one of the most beautiful. Okay, I've gone into this, I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I've gone into this kind of temple looking building, and all I'm seeing is giant statues of African people, African rulers, African, the wealth that's conveyed through the rock, through the stone. And I'm not just talking about monetary, but I'm talking about the wealth, the power, the richness of the people that you see. And they've got all these different, it's almost like it comes to life. You know, when you watch, for example, these films about Egypt, like The Mummy Returns, the cartoons, what's the Egyptian with Moses and all of it. Anyway, when you go into this like temple place and there's just giant statues of all these different kings and pharaohs and people that had all these different positions, and it is such a pure place. Oh my gosh, it's lovely. It's just amazing. They don't go into as much detail about how it was ruled and what systems were in place when it was still very much a whole black African nation. Now, when you go here, you don't have to even hear any talks or anything. You can just feel it. You can feel, I felt so empowered. As obviously a black woman, there's Valley of the Kings and there's Valley of the Queens. And walking through Valley of the Kings, it just gives you chills. And then go into the Valley of the Queens. Every woman of colour, every black female needs to go here, because we're bosses by default.
I'm bossy. I'm the one y'all love to hate.
Just by nature, just by... No one can say anything. Like, I don't understand how people are like very put down or very like, oh, the struggle of a black woman. Yeah, we have a struggle, but you just need to go to the Valley of the Queens. I don't even need to speak about this. But anyway, moving on. I'm just looking at my little book. Sorry guys, off track. Oh yeah, there's also obviously a lot of museums. So all the bookworms and the museum nerds. I'm kind of guilty of that. I love a museum. I was the girl that went to Amsterdam and insisted of going to the Anne Frank Museum, because I'm just that person. I'm just weird. But anyway, yeah. So when you go to Egypt, there are lots of museums that you can go to. I know there's one in, I think it's Alexandria. There's small ones everywhere, so you can kind of go and visit. One that I'm yet to visit, not the museum, but the actual place, is Aswan, which I need to go, because this is basically like where a lot of the Nubian people are from. So when people think of like the kind of ebony, dark-skinned, beautiful black people, a lot of them reside in Aswan. So the official language, as you have already imagined, the official language of Egypt is Arabic. It's modern standard Arabic, to be honest, and they also have their own dialect, just like everywhere else. Well, many places, sorry, they have their standard country dialect. For example, the UK, obviously in England, we speak English. However, depending on where you go or where you're from, or the class of people or their socio-economic backgrounds, etc., they may speak differently. And the language is still English, but it's different. It might be broken, it might be colloquial terms, it might be slang terms, etc. And it's the same with Egypt. They have a lot of broken phrases, a lot of completely different ways of saying things. Compared to the modern standard. However, majority of people, if you speak to them in modern standard Arabic, they will understand you. So anyway, but the Egyptian dialect is very fun. It's very fun to learn some words as well. It's nice. Okay, so that's their official language. I would say most people probably don't speak English, or if they do, it's very, very little. So if you are planning to go, I would try to learn a few phrases, such as where is, such as directions, maybe learn how to say left, right. Numbers is very important, and how much is this? If you're going into a shop and you need to buy something, if you say how much is this. Now there is Egyptian dialect and then there's modern standard. In Egyptian dialect, most of the time, for how much is this, you just say bekamda, bekam, which is how much, and that is basically is this or is that. So you point at something or you pick it up, bekamda. They will tell you probably in English. Well, hopefully they'll tell you in English. If they don't, they'll tell you in Arabic. So it's good to know at least 1 to 20, and you can kind of figure out what they're saying. So if they say, for example, 25, it's 25. So you can just kind of, 20 is 20, and khamsa is 5. So you can kind of work it out if you know 1 to 20. 3 is thalatha or thalatha, and 30 is thalatin. So if you know 1 to 20, you can kind of figure out a lot of numbers. 100 as well, if you can learn that as well, that would be good, and then you can kind of decipher what they're saying a bit easier. So yeah, that's the currency. Also, when you go to places, whether it's the market, in different shops, apart from supermarkets where things are obviously labelled, you can haggle, and you should haggle. And if you go, for example, to get some souvenirs, and something is, I don't know, equivalent to £5 English. And it's like a little figurine or some small souvenir, and it looks really nice, we'll be like, okay, that's a £5, it's fine. If you're comfortable paying that, that's completely fine. However, having gone there so many times and having lived there for a while at one point in my life as well, I do feel like they do kind of obviously rip off, and I understand they need to make money, which is completely fine. So I'll never ask, although I know what the locals would pay, I would never enforce that I need to pay the same as the locals. I understand that, and I'm not that frugal. Well, I am, but anyway. So if something is like a £5, I would probably say try and go for like maybe £2, and then maybe they'll give it to you for £3, and then at least you've got a nice deal you're happy with. They're still making a lot of profit, so both people should be happy. Lovely. So if you enjoyed that video, please please comment, because I want to know what you guys are thinking, and I don't want you to think I'm crazy. But please like, comment and subscribe, or whatever these YouTubers say. But yeah, it was a pleasure doing this video, and I hope to do many more, and I hope you enjoyed it too. Ciao.
So, no funny business.